Greetings, lords and ladies. I'm doing something a little bit different here, and I have a sword to review here. I found this on eBay for really a pretty modest price. Um, and after looking at it online, I couldn't help but get it. So it is Viking inspired, I should say, because it's not a true Viking sword, but the overall styling, aside from this pommel here, is actually pretty accurate with I think it is a type Y on the Patterson typology. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but just looking at the way the guard is shaped here, as well as the handle. Um, However, one thing that is pretty accurate with the Viking period is the type of blade that it is. Now, the Viking period, for the most part, predates homogenized steel, so they would add in iron as well as steel to create what is often called pattern welded steel, or miscalled Damascus. Damascus was an entirely different steel, but it had a similar effect. But this is pattern welded steel. As you can see here, the iron creates this beautiful pattern all along the blade. I believe this is iron. He didn't say what type of metals he used on in his description, but I can only assume, judging from what I know of steelwork, which isn't a whole lot, that this is a pattern welded blade. He offers what is called a customization option, meaning that you can get it sharpened or unsharpened, as well as he will laser etch whatever you like onto either the blade or the included scabbard here. And yes, it is a true scabbard because it is hard-sided. Very nice. So I'll start with the customization options. So here you can see, there's a good shot of it. I named it Serpent Breath, and I think I translated the runes right. But it is called Serpent Breath from the Saxon series of books named after Uhtred Ragnarsson's sword. Those of you who know that series know what I'm referencing. But he added those with no extra charge, as well as the sharpening service, which is outstanding. It's something I was really wanting, and he was happy to provide. The other customization option I got was on the scabbard, which is going to be a little bit harder to see because it's leather, but I will do my best here. He laser etched my last name in runes here on the scabbard, and it's very clear. The camera's actually picking it up fairly well. Again, I was the one that translated the runes, so I don't know if that's an accurate translation, but it's the best I could do. Since I have it out, I will show you the scabbard here. Once I put the loop back on. It's nothing terribly fancy. It's just a black scabbard. It has these two loops that create a sword belt. I believe, just from what I've seen, that it is meant to be worn across the back. Personally, I'm not a fan of the across the back. I find it's hard to draw. You have to tilt it right behind your head and pull upwards. Maybe I'll show that later. But it can also be worn on the hip if you adjust it a little bit. It fits the blade pretty well. There's a little bit of rattle, but I've worn it around just doing chores and stuff, just to kind of test it out, and I have not had it slip out or get damaged or anything like that. So it holds well enough. If you do hold it directly upside down, it will fall out, but I can't think of any situation where you want to be doing a handstand with a sword. So it holds well enough, and the way the guard sits, it seals the mouth of the scabbard from water and other particulates that can get in there. The one thing I will say about the scabbard is, again, about this belt system. This top ring is a little bit loose, just a little bit. And if I take the sword out here, without it, it does slide right off. But not a big deal. I have another carrying system to use to hang it off my hip anyway, so that doesn't bother me at all. So that's kind of a brief overview, and now I'll get to some of its functionality. Now, fitting a sword like this, I don't have tatami mats or anything super special for cutting test, but I figured it would slice your average water bottle, and my camera use, it would slice up these water bottles just fine. So in terms of weight, it's actually weighted really well for cutting. It has a nice tip heavy to it, so when you take your swing, it is nice and tip heavy, and it just carries your inertia through the cut. That was really smooth. Now let's look at the cut here. Granted, these water balls are a little bit old. They were not new. I drank out of them and then sliced them open because I'm cheap. So we did get it busted open, but as you can see here, because I came in through here, it has a pretty smooth cut in through here. Not the smoothest I've ever gotten with a sword, but for lack of a better term, factory edge, or the edge that came with it, that's not bad. Let's try it again, see if it was just the water bottle or my cut. Much better cut on this one. I sliced through it instead of breaking it open. As a comparison here, this one cracked down the middle, and this one still has water at the bottom and has a nice, fairly clean edge in through here. It dips a little bit, but then again, it's not a nice solid water ball. It's got a little bit of flex to it. So I will shut up for the next few ones and just let you watch the carnage. That actually went really nice. So much for shutting up. Switch edges here. Oh, that was beautiful. So on that last cut, there's a little bit of jaggedness to it, but actually that's a pretty clean cut. Overall, I'm impressed. Could it be sharper? Probably. But for something that most of the time, aside from the run-of-the-mill water bottle destruction session, it's more than fine. As you can see, there's no damage along the edge. No chipping, no nothing on either edge. I didn't do any thrusting with it. However, contrary to what most Viking swords are, I know there's a couple of them that have a decent point. This has what I like to refer to as a male bustin point, meaning it can get into the chainmail links and break them open, similar to how an arrowhead would. Which that, I think for the most part, didn't come around until later Middle Ages into the Renaissance period. Not super familiar with timelines, but that's what I remember. That pretty much does it for this outstanding sword. Again, the blacksmith name that forged it is Msd.Knives on eBay. I'll be sure to link him down below. This is just kind of a quick and dirty review, but He went above and beyond to help me out and get me this sword. He actually sold it to me at a loss. He made sure to let me know of that, and so I figured I would do my part to get his name out there. I would highly, highly recommend. I've done some other cutting with this already, and it has been a perfect cutter. Besides, it also looks great on your wall if that's more what you're into. I hope it was entertaining for you. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And definitely go check out Msd.knives on eBay.